Sir Andy Murray versus Titan of the game, Stan Wawrinka, in an epic rematch of epic. Excuse me? I'm doing a voiceover promo for the match. It's over. The match is over. What was the score? Oh, come on! Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. It is a podcast today, and let's throw the stats up for Stan the Man and Sir Andy Murray. This wasn't too surprising because of the conditions. We knew the conditions could be cold and rainy, and today was all day. In fact, take a look at this from the Tennis Legend Instagram account. I don't know where they got this footage from. What was Rafa doing? Was this when he was in the middle of some kind of injury rehab? Or I know he does it because of his knees. I know he does a lot of in-the-pool workouts, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of rain. Forget the stats from Stan. Let's look at the weather really quick. Let's see. Highs of 61, 66, 69, 60. Saturday the 3rd, we got a high of 59. Oh my God. And if you notice there, rain like every single day until Saturday the 10th. Is that the women's final? My oh my. We've got a lot of bad weather. I mean, you look at the percentages, 80% chance of rain, 40, 20. Wednesday the 30th is a 20%. That's your best bet. It's still cloudy. There's no sun. You're not going to get anything like what Rafa likes. But I love that little video, that little meme, because, you know, it says Rafa's basically, the joke is Rafa's ready for anything. He'll get his swim trunks on when he has to play in these kind of conditions. And you know Rafa is going to go after everything. He's going to have a chance, right? This could be the biggest accomplishment of his life. He wins the French Open when everyone thinks this is the one time where maybe he's not the favorite. I don't know if a lot of people are going to say he's still the favorite no matter what, but deep down, we all know that these conditions are terrible. So let's look at some stats just to talk about why the conditions are so tough. If you didn't watch the tennis today, if you're here at Coffee Break Tennis to kind of catch up, let's take a look at Andy Murray and Wawrinka. This was supposed to be an epic super match, and I saw it going one of two ways. Either Stan wins in straight sets fairly easily, or we have a long, drawn-out match. I wasn't really thinking about conditions. I was thinking about the way Stan lost in Rome against Musetti. And then I found out today, listening to the match, that Stan had parted ways with his coach, Magnus Norman, who really, changed everything for Stan. He turned Stan into Stan the Man, right? He used to be Stanislaw. After Magnus Norman came into the team, he became Stan the Man, multi-Grand Slam champ guy. And he broke up with the coach right after that match, I think, is basically what they were saying during the broadcast, some of the commentators at Tennis Channel. And that makes me think that something else was going on. I thought maybe he's dealing with loss of confidence, some kind of injury issue when you play that bad and you lose to a teenager. And now we know that it was probably something more to do with, why did he fire his coach right then? Is it unrelated? There was probably something going on behind the scenes. I don't want to start any rumors. I don't know. I just know that Stan played a lot different. He was a different person today than he was when he lost to the teenager Musetti in Roma, La Roma. Anyways, so Stan was fine. And the way this court plays, just look at the winners to unforced errors. For someone like Andy Murray, it's almost impossible to hit a freaking winner on a court like this. Someone like Stan can hit a winner anyways. I think the last show was saying if you're John Isner and you go to a super slow court, you can still hit an ace. Maybe you're playing Radu Albat, let's say. And Radu Albat could ace you on a fast court, but he's not going to ace you on this court. Maybe he'll get one. You know what I mean? So same with big forehands and backhands. Stan racks up 42 winners. The longer these rallies go, it's like, what's going to happen? What's more likely to happen the longer the rally goes? Andy Murray's going to hit a winner, or Stan's going to hit a winner? Well, I think it's more likely that Stan is going to hit a winner. What about in the unforced errors department? That's where things could get different. Maybe if you drag the points out long enough, eventually the bigger hitter will start missing a lot and lose focus. You would think you would have a chance at that with Sasha Zverev. But you look at the unforced errors, they're pretty much the same here. Now, let's look at the stats from Yannick Sinner, who Tennis Channel Plus, or whatever they call it, Tennis Channel Everywhere. You might want to fix this typo. Says Jay Inner. Yannick Sinner, David Goffin. I had a feeling Yannick Sinner would win. I had him doing well in my draw. Throws the bagel on the 11 seed in the first round. The youngest player in the draw, I believe Yannick Sinner is. And let's take a look at this. They hit about the same winners, but here's the problem with a court this slow. If you're David Goffin, you have to hit really close to the top of your power threshold, right? You got to go for everything you can. And what resulted from that? 43 unforced errors compared to 27 from Yannick Sinner. Goffin hit one more winner. I did pretty good on my picks today in the racket bracket, which I forgot again. I always do this. I make the whole draw. I pick every match practically. And then before the matches start, I forgot. So I hope someone put my picks in the racket bracket. Comment below if you are that person. Let me know how I did, how I rank against other people after one day of play. Anyways, let's take a look at this match. This is a match that I got wrong in the bracket. I felt like I should have got it right. Delbonis should have won this match. He had his chances for sure. But I think I saw him have a match point at like up 11-10 or something like that in the fifth set. This fifth set went 14 games to 12. Yes, in case you forgot, all the majors switched to tie breaks in the fifth set. Not the French Open, not Roland Garros. We have 14-12 fifth set. But let's look at these stats. -50 in the winners to unforced errors ratio here. 48 winners on almost 100 unforced errors from Juan Ignacio Londero. Whereas Delbonis, he's in the -2, but 71-87. So a lot closer to the good than -50. But in a match like that, where it was raining for most of the match, I mean, fairly heavy rain towards the end. They actually mutet or mute. I'm hearing commentators say mute now. I thought it was Corentin Mutet. I guess it's mute. It was raining over there, and they stopped and said, okay, you'll finish tomorrow. I guess they just wanted to get this match done since it was in a fifth set. And it was raining pretty hard. They kept playing. It just comes down to who can stay alive and keep fighting through what is literally like the most miserable conditions imaginable. You have a very slow court. It's clay, so when it's raining, you can keep playing, and they want to get this match wrapped up. Your hair is wet. You might wonder watching this, like you see Andy Murray had like these long pants on, which is something very rare to see in tennis. Maybe in rec tennis you'll see it more because we actually go out and play in some of the worst weather. But the tennis tour is usually traveling around the world chasing that good weather. Wherever the weather is best, that's usually where the tennis is being played at that time of year. Obviously, coronavirus changed everything here, so that's not the case. But yeah, so you see Andy Murray wearing the long pants. Stan has the undershirt. Once you get moving, I think with Murray, it's more about all the issues he's had with the lower body, that he's got those long pants on to keep the body warm, the lower half of his body warm. Once you get moving as a tennis player, your heart rate shoots up, your adrenaline's running. You don't really feel cold weather unless it's like, 10 degrees outside, 20 degrees, then it's kind of inevitable. You're still going to feel it. But these, like in the 50s and 60s temperatures, once you get moving, you don't really feel it anymore unless you have this long, drawn-out match and it's raining. When it's cold and wet, that's as miserable as it gets for a tennis player. You start to feel it on the changeovers. The wet clothes really start to give you the chill. You got to keep moving, otherwise you just pretty much your body will fall apart out there. It's pretty awful what they had to play through, and Londero was just a little tougher in such a tough situation, despite statistically, and a lot of it has to do with some blowout sets. I thought Londero got off to a good start in the beginning. A little bit I saw, I can't remember which part of the match I saw. I didn't see this entire match, but I watched some of the beginning first couple sets and I thought Delbonis looked like he could win. I felt good about my pick. I see he loses the first two sets. He takes the third and fourth set very easy. That's probably the biggest reason why the stats are like that. But the main takeaway for me is when you're in a dogfight fifth set like that, speaking of dog, whoever's a little mentally tougher will come out. Advantage Rafa in a situation like that, you would think. Even if it's horrible like that, you would imagine Rafa's going to hang really tough unless it's one of these power baseliners like Stan Wawrinka. Jannik Sinner. It's just so much easier for them to hit a winner, finish a point, someone with a really big serve. Think John Isner. You could see Rafa falling to that for sure in these conditions. But the spirit of this match, this fifth set, makes me think of Vamos Rafa. He's going to throw everything he has, no matter how horrible the situation is. He's not going to think about it unless he just gets blown away. Speaking of dogfight, take a look at this quote from Dirty Dan Evans. Loses to Nishikori. Can't remember. Who did I pick? I did pick Nishikori to come through. Good, because that was a tough one to pick, but I thought on this surface, let's go with Nishikori, especially how slow it is. Maybe he'll be able to generate some power a lot easier to Dan Evans in some of the most crucial moments of the match. It looks like he did. I didn't see very much of that match, but look at the quote. These tennis balls, you wouldn't even give to a dog to chew on. A lot of players do not like the tennis balls. Dominic Thiem said he preferred the last ball. Novak Djokovic talked about how the ball is slow. Everyone knows the ball is slow. Someone like Stan Wawrinka, someone like Sasha Zverev. Let's take a look at Sasha Zverev's stats. They might like these conditions. So Sasha Zverev, 37 winners, 32 unforced errors. He was shaky at times, hits 10 aces. That's a lot considering how slow the court is playing. Zverev demonstrated that he is one of the players who can easily hit through this incredibly slow court with the heavy balls. It doesn't matter. I mean, maybe he could beat Nadal here. It's really, I'm super interested to see what goes down tomorrow. Anyways, Yuri Novak, 26 winners on 27 unforced errors. Just the only chance he had is if there's, a couple ways this can play out. If you're seeing so many balls and you're feeling really uncomfortable, say you're Zverev, you start throwing in double faults. He did throw in a couple, looked like maybe things could get out of hand, but he only had 2 for the entire 3-set match. Maybe these players start to miss and lose their nerve in some long rallies, but usually it's more like what you would see with Stan. Players like Zverev and Stan, you would think. They get looks at a lot of balls. None of them are hurting them in the rally, especially if the player, is like Murray and having trouble hit through the court. And eventually they're just going to get one that is so nice they can crush it. They can crack it. So I like Zverev here. I'm happy that I put him so far. I like Jannik Sinner. Let's see. What do we got? Benoit Paire. I did pick him to win. Thank goodness. He came out on fire. Benoit Paire. He looks like someone who's sick of losing. Looked hyper-aggressive in this match whenever I flipped over to check on Paire. I was watching a lot of matches today. 12 aces, 37 winners on 57 unforced errors. So with this deficit, -20, he's more negative. We were saying in that last match, the Del Bonus match, how can you have such a deficit and the guy wins? Well, if you tank a couple sets in a 5-set match and you just have horrible, if you get double bageled in the first 2 sets and then you play 3 great sets in a row and win, you can still have stats at the end of the match that just look terrible. Benoit Paire doesn't lose any sets. He wins in straight sets. How do you do this? Well, sometimes it's just about who can step in and play aggressive in a tight moment. And Benoit Paire really looked like he's sick of losing. If he does lose, what's it going to do? He's already on like a losing streak. He's had some bad luck. He got coronavirus, all the stuff that happened with him in New York. So Benoit looked a little angry. Smacking backhands, really dictating play with the backhand. But what impressed me about Benoit Paire is that he was actually going after it on the forehand side too. He's looking pretty good on the forehand. You give him more time on the forehand in slow conditions like this, all of a sudden Benoit Paire actually looks pretty good. I still, I can't change. Let's imagine I did submit my picks to the racket bracket, which I did not. I can't change it at this point, so I have him losing the Coria in the third. I still feel good about that. But Benoit Paire looking better than I expected. So good on him, mate. Really fearless, coming to net 33 times in 3 sets. So good stuff from Benoit Paire, playing with the usual flair. Last thing I want to look at stats, and then we'll get out of here. But take a look at this. This is the speed test for the court. How's the court playing? Well, in 3 sets, John Isner hits 7 aces. Only 7 aces, but one thing, look at what his opponent does. 28 winners, hits the same as Isner, but how many errors come trying to produce that? If you're forcing it on this court, you're going to miss a lot. If you have that easy power, like John Isner, who can he can hit a winner from the baseline pretty easy. We've got a big forehand. 28 winners, doesn't have to go as high risk in the slow conditions. the guy can hit through this court. 14 unforced errors. Very clean. Like I said, only 7 aces. It's playing slow. Safe to say. All right, last thing. Obviously, tomorrow, all eyes on Rafa, Dominic Thiem. Got to see how both these guys look in the new French. They're the favorites, usually at the French Open. Let's see how they look at this crazy French Open where everything's opposite world, right? The weather, the conditions, the speeds of the court, super slow. All eyes on that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll have a show right after the matches are done. I'll get to work on it, get it up as fast as I can. But let's take a look at this. This is the big story to me today. Rublev, Tsitsipas. I have them charted to meet in my draw, even though I put question marks all over it. What is that? Quarterfinals, Rublev, Tsitsipas. We could get a rematch. I hope we get a rematch, and I really hope that Tsitsipas, who served for this match at 5-4 and then loses 3 games in a row, I hope this doesn't take him right back to a really bad place mentally. Can Tsitsipas leave this tournament feeling like he played well overall and he got what he needed? If you're thinking long-term, you want to be a Grand Slam champion, obviously an ATP 500, it's nice. It's a nice check. It's a nice amount of points. 500 points, it's half of a Masters 1000 if you win it. That would be nice for both Rublev and Tsitsipas. Rublev, I believe this is the biggest tournament he's won. He's only won ATP 250s. Tsitsipas obviously has won the cursed Masters World Tour Finals, the king of the Masters in London last year and London this year. Tsitsipas needs to look at it like he's Federer, he's Nadal, he's a big 3 type guy. This was just a tournament for him to get the reps and some comfort on slow clay court conditions before he goes for the big goal, the French Open. I hope his team can help get that in his head, but if you saw the way this went down, Tsitsipas goes real aggressive on the first point when he serves 5-4. I think he hits a slider in the deuce court out wide, comes to put away a forehand, hits it really well, but just misses wide a little. And then the next one, he misses a forehand, but it's just like he's not going for it anymore. He deaccelerates on the shot. The next one, kind of the same thing. It goes in and he gets passed. And when, remember 2019 Wimbledon, Federer match point, you get passed like that, the other opponent all of a sudden starts feeling really good. Definitely the case with Rublev, who played great from that moment on, finishing this and grabbing this ATP 500 in Hamburglers. The next game, though, even worse for me, Tsitsipas. Someone as good as Tsitsipas with as good of a game and a serve, you would think, this guy ain't going to get broken twice. But from a dark place, from the player's perspective, you could look at it as, if I can't serve to win this match, how am I going to serve to stay alive in this match, to stay in it and force the tiebreaker? And that had to have been on his mind. You wonder, he kept looking to the box, to his dad, and pointing to his head and the coaches and stuff. It wasn't as whiny for sure, but pointing to his head, acknowledging it's mental. Was he thinking about what happened at the U.S. Open? I don't know, but he's got tomorrow off, Rublev and Tsitsipas. I was worried these guys would have to play the very next day. They don't. They didn't do all of the bottom half draw matches today. I guess we'll finish the rest of them tomorrow along with Dominic Thiem and Rafa Nadal. And then I guess Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll split them up. And we will see these guys play. Of course, Tsitsipas has someone who likes playing on clay, and Jama Munara. If he can get through that relatively easily, I think everything's going to be okay for him. But anyways, hit the music. I got to get out of here. I'm actually going to go hit the courts myself and get a little practice in. I've got some league matches starting up, season starting for me, the winter season starting in just a few days. Thanks for listening to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. We will be back. No podcast tomorrow. A full show tomorrow. We'll break it all down for you. We'll take a close look at Rafa and Dominic Thiem. First impressions are going to mean a lot here, even if they don't have opponents. Marin Cilic is a tough opponent for Dominic Thiem. Not such a tough opponent for Rafa Nadal. It's all about how are they going to deal with these conditions. That's what I'm curious to see. That's what we'll talk about tomorrow. See you.